So, hello everyone out there that is tuning in today. Welcome to Focus on Wellness in 2021 with me, Brianna, and our guest today, Susan Hart. We're so excited to have you here. As always, Susan and I both work on the Warm Line. It's a 24/7 emotional support line. The number is listed below, 833-390-7728.
I can't tell what direction. Oh, there. It's like backwards.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's hard.
I know the camera angles, they're interesting. But yeah, so we are there. Somebody is always there to support you. And today we're excited as we're closing out the month of May shortly to be reminded it's been, the Mental Health Awareness Month that was founded in the late 40s. And it still goes strong today of raising visibility of mental health and the challenges we still face and the celebrations, the joys that come from solidarity and visibility. So Susan, today I'd like to welcome you and anyone who's tuning in out there, feel free to chime in the chat and we'll try to correspond with you there. But I'd love for you to introduce yourself, Susan, and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, hi everybody. Let's see, I've been a peer support coordinator. I got peer support specialist since August of 2019. I really wanted a position that was virtual or online. And then with the pandemic, that solidified that I really wanted to do something from my sofa. and and that's been great. I'd never heard about peer support. And I'm a former social worker. I guess I'm still always a social worker. But that was never okay to share my own personal struggles. So, it was actually my counselor who encouraged me to get certified, and it took about a year for me to get urged on. I was like, I wasn't ready. I'm not going to be able to handle it emotionally. Depression and anxiety have always been kind of a companion for me since I was about 9 years old, probably even a little bit younger. It just was. So doing it, and then Shireen, called the CEO or the director of PR on, she actually taught my class and blew my mind. And so I came along the Warm Line in I think November, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been beautiful to connect. Someone actually just said today, "I love you," and I was like, "I love you too," and I mean that in the healthy way and the supportive way, and that's been really cool. I Let's see, just a little bit about me. I'll be 58 this year, so
Woo.
kind of a hippie. I forgot to put colors in my hair, darn it. I've spent most of my life struggling with depression and anxiety, some PTSD. It always felt like things were caught in my throat. Like I'm one of 10 kids, and I think I was like the middle. I think I was so sensitive. My mom moved from the northeast, from Baltimore to Wisconsin. I started I was the sixth child out of 10, and I think
Wow.
she lost all her connections, and I think I really felt that, and I didn't want to be a bother to anyone, and I also was just plain owned with emotions and stuff. So depression and anxiety were kind of, yeah, really a constant companion. I remember when I first went to counseling when I was 18, I said, I feel like my pilot light is burnt out. Um, So that gave me that picture. I also didn't know what to do with my life, and I was worried about giving up. So I thought, social work, I'll help others. So I did social work for a number of years. I'd also get burnt out. It was almost like I'd help others, but also have this ache in my heart when I go to work, help everybody, and then I'd go home and cry, and the amount of depression and such really impacted. I never married or had kids. I think I'll marry in my 60s and become a grandma. I'm all about that now. But it's taken a very long journey. Um, Hospitalization in 2001, which is 20 years ago. I paid privately for a treatment facility in 2010. Um, for a month. I had to do things to save myself. I've taken mindfulness, I've taken DBT, I've taken lots of classes. I see a great doctor, and I see a counselor. I'm now at a month, like once a month. But if I need it more, then that's great. But I've seen this incredible change in me, that really has been about healing. I'm always helping people. I can't stop. I just can't stop. And I love it. I discovered networking. And the other day I went out and met a new doctor in a new practice just because I wanted to meet him. I also created a year ago, I created the Triangle career care team. I basically cried and then I created it. And there's now 4,800 people in it, and they're getting jobs. And I
That's
also get
amazing.
I also get goosebumps. I created a mental wellness group that's a little bit smaller, but everybody knows me because I'm like, Susan knows, she'll get you hooked up. And it's just such joy in it. And now I've LLC'd myself, and I just actually had my first paying clients this weekend. What I do is strategy sessions, and it was beautiful. Just it's a conversation about what you're looking for and who do I know, and I just organically, it's just been beautiful. It's like, wow, um, I'm really enjoying this. And I just talked to some guy who worked at the Department of Transportation, who's a really cool guy. I'm like, who am I? And it's just
Right.
because that Hart, my last name is Hart, so it's all about that. I also have a giant heart mascot that I sometimes wear, and I also have another side of me, the helpfulness side, and then this hilarious fun side who loves kids. I think because I never had them, and because I feel like all my healing journey has also, it's almost like it's innocence reborn. um like that pilot light that I said was burnt out is like boom, it's like this bonfire that's
Yeah.
that's like this exuberance of a child. So yes, this is Dumpy. Hi everybody, I'm Dumpy. And no, I don't know how to do different voices. So I have 18 puppets. I just brought a few, believe me. um you know
I love
this
that.
is this is John Carlo. Hey everybody. And Preeti, they're kids just love them. And I love seeing that. Kids, we don't really talk about the impact of the pandemic on children. Those poor kids were so isolated. I babysit for like a nanny babysitting service. So it's different families that I see. So whether it's a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, they can't but love this. This is Preeti. So if anybody knows how to,
Oh,
I need to learn how to do TikTok videos. I don't understand all that stuff. I'm like, I
yeah.
can barely figure out how to get her on screen, but it's just, it's like, may I say ass? I'm a grown ass woman who has like 18 puppets. I'm like, what?
Well, I think that's really amazing because what really spoke to me too when you were talking about reflecting on your pilot light,
Yeah.
going out and then being in this new place of healing and transformation and feeling this sort of revitalization and this reclamation. I think a lot of the healing too is nurturing and rediscovering and owning our curiosity, that sense of play, and all of that. So I think it really kind of all ties into that. And most importantly, being authentically you. That's really important because so much in our lives, especially when we talk about mental health and everything, is we become these stigmas and statistics. Right?
I used to carry that shame around like it as if it was on, like the scarlet letter, depressed, or I had a bankruptcy in 2002, a big scarlet E that was just so much shame. And that's kind of why I'm so helpful, is because if I can help people know that I went through this, I've come through it. I mean, I'm so surprised at how far I have come. It's been really cool. I'm trying to show you a picture of me and the Hart mascot, because that's what started it, as oddly as that can be, because my last name's Hart. Where is it? And then we had the pandemic. How oddly it was. I had been in transition. Like, I got laid off from my job I got laid off from my job in October of 2015, 3 weeks after I moved into my house. Bam! And I'd been there 11 years. It's just been like this journey that that's been difficult, but I've been able to manage it, like cope. And I know that those who have been laid off and such, and it's all new for them. Can you imagine owning a restaurant for 28 years? Your restaurant closes because of the pandemic, and you now have to look for a job.
Right. Yeah. Like a
My
huge life shift.
hurt. My heart. I really did. I absolutely cried, and then I created. It's
I
just.
love that. That's beautiful. I cried
Yeah,
and then I created
yeah.
because
Or I cried and mobilized, and it's just
right.
been. Really, if I had $1 for every goosebump that I get, and it really is, it's like my heart tells me, my heart says, actually it was my doctor who told me, Susan, just do it, just put it out there. And so me putting out my business, on Friday was like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And she also said she was very proud of me. This is my heart.
And we are
Oh,
proud of you. There we go. Oh, I love that. I am a sucker, like I said, for all things of the heart.
yeah.
I believe in it very deeply on a philosophical level, a spiritual level. Yeah, just so many things. And I love that it's also a part of your last name and how much you like really embody that space, because I was laughing too. I'm like, my green hair, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, the
Oh, I didn't even
color.
know. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot, where's my
And
hair mascara?
it's the heart chakra color, which is,
Right.
a really important, part of, chakras are like energy wheels in the body, for those of you that may not know. And so each one represents a different thing. And the heart chakra represents the literal heart, and the metaphorical heart, the connection to love. And what I hear, and what so many things from what you're saying, like deeply resonate on so many levels. of just like, how long you have struggled with mental health. Being in a larger family, I could not imagine. I was one of 4, and that was hard enough. So 10, that's a whole nother thing.
And I didn't want to bother anyone. And we didn't have the words in the 60s and 70s. I couldn't, it's like we have the words now. I mean, I don't necessarily like the labels, but to be able to talk about your feelings and to be able
Yes.
to, like, yeah, I mean, I never saw a counselor, and gosh, can you imagine having peer support coordinators for children?
Right.
That would have been, oh my gosh, can we get that started? I'll bring
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
puppets,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean, we're dreaming and envisioning the world that we want. I mean, it's funny when you were saying, you came into peer support in 2019, and it was a counselor who recommended that you check it out, and that, yeah, you had never heard of it prior, even being a social worker. Now,
Right,
I don't have a social work background, but I had never, as a person who has, struggled with mental health challenges for most of my life as well, and been in and out of different places that are outlets for this, so to speak. I'd never came across or heard of that either until my therapist was like, hey, like, this is a thing, and you embody a lot of this. And I think, like, the joy, like you said, is being able to share from a heart to heart level, to be
right.
vulnerable about our life experiences and the wisdom that we all have, from the journey that we've been on. And when you were talking about the struggle to, like, speak up, a lot of times, I put this, caption here: when things are difficult, we often feel the need to hold back or internalize it and become critical. We feel like we're too much, or there's not enough, time, or like again, like it's our fault, or if I could or should do things this way or that
Who
way.
am I
It,
to actually be, um not possibly word worthy enough to, like, speak my truth, or
right.
I shouldn't be feeling depressed in a family. And then my father died when I was 15, and that just made it so painful. My mom passed a year ago. Oh no, 2 years ago. Can I share her letter?
Yeah,
She
absolutely.
did something that, as all the my mom was, her partner passed, after 23 years of marriage. She still had 7 kids at home. She wrote a letter before her Alzheimer's got bad. This was like 12, she said, and this was for us, her children. Dear kids, grandkids, etc. I love you all. Having you made my life worth living. I'm happy now I'm with your father, who I've missed for so long. Take good care of your life and enjoy it. We'll all be together one day. We'll have a big party in heaven. Won't we have fun with all the Hearts, Hearts there. All my love, Mom. And I was like, whoa, it was a difficult relationship. It's hard to have a relationship with when you're 6 out of 10, and it's she's yeah, she grew up in the 30s and 40s, and it was a different time altogether. But that was such a beautiful, it gave me permission also to be just who I am. And I think I told you I did a 16-minute video laying in my bed on Saturday, just telling my story, and I was like, whoa. And for someone who absolutely, my father used to say, what's your story? And I'd be like, nothing, and it was all caught in here. And I just have these, like, crying jags because I could never speak. To be able to just say it, someone in my group watched it, and she's having struggles with her own daughter, and she was like, thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, it's not, you're not supposed to put that on Facebook, but I'm like, I feel free to do that because if it helps someone, you know,
Right.
yeah,
And
it's good.
yeah, that's what we're doing. The things we're not supposed to do, but that are grounded in truth and
Yeah,
love. We need more, spaces for that.
yeah,
Whether it's connecting with one person, that has a ripple effect always, right? It's like that person who reached out to you, who resonated with your story, is now going to also then connect it with their child, and then who knows who else within their circle,
right.
and so on and so on, and anyone else. So that's powerful, and I think that's so beautiful, and I'm so glad that you shared that, because again, like, reclaiming our voice and taking up
Yeah.
space, we're allowed to do that, you
Well,
know.
as a for most of my life, even though I was helping others, I felt invisible.
Hmm.
It's like what I was doing, the activities, helping others was more important than even me. They say you can't give from an empty vessel. You can. You can, and you do. Parents do it all the time. It's like,
Right
just keep
now.
pushing and pushing, and it's like,
Right.
I don't
Well, we
want to get sick.
yeah.
I don't, I'm not willing to be in a cubicle and, just, working 200% when sometimes I only have 45%. I mean, I care, but I also can't do it all, and that's sort of like, it's I love working with you all, even like even in the team meetings, it's like you're modeling what, you know, it w- like how to be like how it's okay to share. And me, I said, oh, I had I'm like, I must confess, I'm tired at 11:57, and like, yeah, it's 12 years of Catholic school, like,
But I
you
also
know,
love that you did that earlier before we started the video. You were talking briefly about, as we were prepping, about how, you've often been the person who speaks up. And, sometimes that's been met in some spaces, especially in corporate world or wherever else, in a different way. But oftentimes we realize we're not the only ones that are
yeah,
holding that thought and feeling. So again, like you said, in terms of modeling, and when we step into our truth, and when we're just vulnerable and authentic, it gives others the courage and space to also be like, hey. And sure enough, in the meeting you're talking about, right, like several people were like, hey, you're not alone, I feel that way too. Yeah,
can
any
I share
ideas?
another can I share another secret shame that I
Sure.
that I actually I am I'll be 58 this year. I have never been in love.
Mm.
And I'd like to find a nice, gentleman, and like I said, become an instant grandmother. But yes, I've had relationships, um, but I haven't dated in a long time because the gentleman that I would meet, it was a very I don't like the term codependence, but if I wasn't comfortable in my own self, so I like deferred to them, and, or tried to perhaps save them, in all sorts of things. And it's like, it, it's okay. I accept those things, that I haven't had children, but I can still be the fun babysitter, and things like that. So, and that was really oddly freeing to say that, and not feel shame. I'm sure there's other people who haven't, who have never married or haven't found that, you know, and I don't have
Absolutely.
the scarlet L on my forehead either. It's just the
Right.
way I'm happy now with myself, probably for the first. I've never been so happy with myself. And it all started with a giant Hart mascot. What? You know, I used to go and volunteer, and then I'd take pictures, and there was something really beautiful about the people, um, people in the pictures with the Hart mascot. I have a few Hart puppets and stuff, and it was like, whoa! It, you know. So I don't even, I can't even say how freeing it is. And sometimes I'm like, oh, Susan, you're getting too excited, you know. And I have to learn. I think one of the topics that I'm going to struggle with is balance. Like, you know, Susan, you can't, you know, get off Facebook. You don't, you know, you don't need to check this and see if you need to help, you know.
Right. Well, I think, you know, especially when you're a deeply caring person, and you've had a lot of, you know, lived experience, and you have a deep relationship with pain and suffering and loss and all of these things, you know, your empathy often can grow. But like you said, the one of the, you know, biggest challenges and most important things in the journey of healing that I've also found is, like you said, we can't do it all. And we have to find that balance, and we do have to, like, you know, be compassionate with ourselves and realistic, and being compassionate with ourselves as well as checking in and putting that love back in.
Right.
And the more that we do that, the more that radiates, and the more that we are able to, like, you know, show up in the world for ourselves and others. Warm line calls. It's okay. You can actually cut
Yeah.
me
No, we're
while
good.
we're
Yeah.
in this. But, yeah, it's so important. And so
It's also, I I often don't know how to do it. I I never like to cook, and now I especially don't like to cook. You know, I like to, you know, I'll make something like a pot roast in the crock pot, and I'm like, you know, okay, I've had it for 2 days, yuck. You know, so a friend of mine had me over for a barbecue, and you know, sent me home with some some you know, good stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm never gonna, you know, there's almost like gaps in self-care that, like, you know, oh, nutrition. I mean, I'm talking to a health coach through my insurance now for 3 months, and you know, so far I've got the 64 ounces of water per day down, but you know, um, dancing. I told myself my exercise would be dancing around, you know, with the curtains closed in my house because I don't like heat. Um, but that's been really hard to like movement because, you know, the sofa. It's like I need one of those. Not really. I'm kidding. Negative reinforcement things like keep the dog off the couch. You know, you know. Just kidding. Negative reinforcement isn't self care. You know, like yeah,
Yeah, but I love that. I mean, you have a good sense of humor, and that's
yeah.
also
That helps. That
really
helps.
important thing. And like you said, I mean, balance is kind of like, you know, we have this, you know, mainstream, like, idea that's been pushed for so long in our culture of, like, perfectionism and
Mhm.
needing to have it all right all the time,
Right.
when really that's just totally unrealistic and a million different ways, as we know. So sure, like, I hear that you're calling in, you know, I've got my water down, and I'm getting better at these things with my health, and now I'm feeling like I want to, like, dance and move. And so finding little pockets, you know,
Right.
in our day, even if it's just, I'm gonna put on one song today and dance around to it, but it might be a week before I do that again, but that's okay, because the
Right.
more we create and foster those things, the more that we feel drawn to them. And so when we
Right.
don't have them, we're like, oh man, I need to dance. It's been a while. But
Right.
a lot of this too, like we talked about, is learning how we want to actually be in the world, and unlearning and letting go of the limitations that were placed on us before. You haven't always had the space to really think about Susan in this way. And now, you said your journey the last, 5-6 years, and especially in the last couple, has been wildly like bountiful and beautiful. It doesn't mean there's still not challenges in the day to day, right? But like, yeah, so I guess, yeah, I'm curious, when we think about self-compassion, like what just comes to your heart and mind when you think about that self-love and self-care?
It's funny. It probably doesn't involve Ben and Jerry's any longer. Just it's like, wow. I think it's being with friends. It's 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 hard. I bought myself, I don't have the box here, this incredible like I hate that term, massage gun. That's, I'm like, it's really powerful. So, if my muscles are tight and stuff, now that's something that's kind of like, not something I'd normally do, buy something that, for myself. Actually, I do buy myself a lot of treats. They're usually food related, but that's not exactly what I want. I don't, self-compassion. Um, I'm not exactly sure what that is. How interesting. How interesting. Self-compassion. I mean, huh.
It looks like a lot of different things. I think, like you said, sometimes, and it looks different for everyone. Sometimes the self-compassion might be that, yeah, I need a sweet treat and I really love this
Right,
flavor of Ben and Jerry's and I'm going to do it. Other
right.
times I heard you say friends, reaching out to a friend. That's showing up for you, doing something that's nurturing and restorative.
So it's interesting. Like, I don't I am puzzled by what self-compassion is. Like, maybe self-compassion is me, like, going with my instincts, my
Mm-hmm.
instinct to reach out to this physician who just opened his practice. I just had this Andy, and I was like, you know, I didn't say who am I to reach out to, a professional, but it was like, I just want to meet him. I just want to, and it's, yeah. So I think part of it is trusting myself, not, the voice in my head that was really like, you shouldn't do that, or, you know, you need new clothes, you need, all the voices that are just not kind. I don't hear them anymore. I don't. It's really, I don't go into the mirror and say I love you, but I don't not love me, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not an issue. Does that even make sense? But
Absolutely
it's
does. It's like you don't, that's saying I love you to yourself is one way of doing it. But I think like what I hear is you're saying the more that I do things that I love and that bring me joy, and the more that I follow my heart, the more I listen to my intuition, the more that I trust myself and let myself be me, I am more embodied in that self-compassion and that self-love already,
and I
so
accept when people say that. I mean, I've had some kindnesses done. I told you about the air conditioning, which, was really, like, stressing me out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna, you know, just not be able to cope. And someone helped me, and did it as a kindness. And, I didn't have that feeling like, okay, I'm going to have to you know, if I don't pay you, I'm going to have to refer 7 people to you. And he's like, just, you know, don't worry about it. Like there's not you know, tit for tat or anything. And I accept kind words. And it's not that I'm seeking approval any longer. I used to have to get all A's, you know, couple semesters in college, and you know, it was like that was why did I do that? Why did I absolutely beat myself up to make myself do better for something that was real, you know, 30 years later, so it doesn't even matter. You know, I think about how mean I used to be to myself, you know, and how you know, it's just not that way. And I think knowing that my mom and my grandmother both had Alzheimer's is also something that I think a lot about having a full life, having lots of different, you know, stimulating activities and humor and kids. You know, I'll be doing my business, I'll be doing the warm line, I'll be doing the babysitting, the puppets, you know,
Yeah.
all those things because that and you know, maybe dating in a while.
Yeah, that's exciting.
But you know, um I see a fuller life. I see that I don't have to spend it all on helping people, that you know, that I don't, you know, yeah, there's like last year was tough,
Yeah.
but for me to like, you know, I mean, I did worry a few people. They're like, Susan, you've been off, you know, where's Susan? You know, I think I hadn't been on social media for almost 2 weeks, and I'm a pretty much a several times a day poster in different groups. And so, you know, I was just I was feeling my own emotions, and also all the compassion. And so, you know, that's why I created the groups. And I also realized that, you know, Susan, you make an impact because you really care, and people do really care about you. I mean, and I don't feel like it's just you know, like it's it really is a trueness, because so many of those people I've met before and in real life before the pandemic. I can't wait to do, like, you know, go out and meet people again, just little by little. Because
Yes.
I a year ago, I wore a sari at an event. You know, I'm in the honorary Desi group. I'm like,
That's
because I
amazing.
have so many friends who are South Asian, that I'm like, saris are beautiful. I would love to try one on, and I get fed, and it's like it's like those experiences. If I can't go visit India right now, I can have experiences. I'm honorary member of the Muslim Moms group. I'm not a mom. I'm not Muslim, and I'm like, okay, who else can I meet? Because it yeah, keeping that
I
stimulation. I really want One of the things I want PRN also is to have some Spanish speaking support coordinators, and some Arabic speaking,
Yeah.
and possibly South Asian. So, you know, I'm the Raleigh
Sure.
connection for that, and I really think about that a lot, because
Me
you know, it's
too.
really hard to be, if you if English is not your native language, it's really hard to explain your feelings and such. And of course, there's the cultural differences. So,
Sure.
you know, like I said, there's some communities like the Hispanic community. I don't even know if we have any Spanish speaking folks on the warm
We
line, and
have
how that can work.
Izzy.
Oh, okay, good, good.
I'm
Um,
with you. I mean, my Spanish is not great. It's not my
well, and I
first
had high
language, but
school Spanish, but you know,
yeah,
that's
I think, like you said, I mean, what's beautiful is the more that we, open ourselves up, the connections, the diversity of the connections we can have are beautiful. Humanity, opening
right.
ourselves up to that bigger picture is so important. And also when we talk about visibility and representation and understanding cultural differences, I share that dream with you, that I hope that our organization can grow and continue to have a wide representation of that. And one of the things I was thinking, and you've kind of touched on it so many times, is, what is your motivation or the intention that of why you do what you do, and how you show up in the world. And it seems like it's a very, very heart-centered one. That connection is so important to you. I heard you speak about, to like the, your family, your mother and your grandmother, and all these different things that you carry with you. And a lot of your work with, starting the beautiful group that's grown, I think you said, to over 4,000 folks.
5.
Yeah. And then, just doing the work at PRN on the warm line, and then starting your own business now. There's a lot there. So is there anything else?
What's strange is, like, the timing is right, because I've been struggling to figure this out for the last 5 years, but there's no voice. There's no longer the voice that says I can't do it. There's no longer the voice that says, don't say that, or don't talk to that person. That person is a business owner, or don't talk to that, and it's like, wow, I'm really blown away. And I want to have a positive impact, because yes, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, but I believe, that's why I created the mental wellness. I think I called it mental wellness during COVID. Created it April of last year, because, and a couple of reasons, is because I knew the carers had to deal with the same thing as all of us, like, therapists and counselors and doctors had to learn about how to do their jobs telehealth, and they still had children who stayed at home. And I was like, wow, it's like my intuition and everything got out there, and just was like, I want to have this good support. And I keep trying to share good information and good support. And I probably send out the warm line numbers to more people than I'm like, oh yeah, PR online. In fact, what's interesting is, last week I had posted it in response to, and it was a comment on one of the groups, and this woman called and she said, I saw you comment and I wanted to call. And she talked about grief. And I was like, that's that people don't know. So we have to share it with them. It's, and I think that's one of the things. So I am like this, if I had a megaphone, I'd be like, dur, 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 you guys know there's support, and I'll be like, let me remind you, because truly, how would you know there's a warm line out there if, like, you don't even know what it is, so
I'd never heard of warm lines before working this one, and they've been around for a long time. And
oh, really?
I think, it's such a beautiful thing. And I love, like you said, just like your intentions and wanting to share, and foster those connections and spaces that remind people that they don't have to be alone in whatever they're feeling, and continuing to just strengthen their connections with themselves and others, instead of feeling isolated. And that's how, when you were speaking about the internal critic that we all have had, and that has looked different, especially depending on, our life's journey or our mental health. And, every once in a while, I still, have those things come up, but it's a difference of like now when it comes up, that's why I love mindfulness. It's a space of non-judgment and just awareness of like, okay, that happened, something, triggered this response, but instead of me attaching to it and saying, see, like and letting that spiral in whatever way it looks like, I can just hold myself and I can say, I can reframe it in a positive way, and not, belittling. Like if I'm feeling like today's a hard day, I can just say today's a hard day. I don't have to be like, okay, today's not a hard day, even though I feel terrible.
So the other week, my cat escaped out of the back fence, and so she's 11. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get my cat back. And I was like, I almost called the warm line for support, but then I was like, I'm not quite used to that. Can I call the same line that I work on? And what if I get me? Just kidding, just kidding. Susan? Yeah, this is Susan. I mean, and I was like, and I even tell people, I say, and I told them she came back, you know what, that darn cat, she's like nothing happens, I'm like, she know I was crying for 2 days.
Oh.
She sort of I kind of knew she wasn't far, but I'm like,
yeah, but that's a scary thing. Our pets are often, that's another, it's another sentient being, and they often become like family and loved ones. So to feel that possibility of that loss, like speaking of grieving, it was like a mini grieving, of like the possibility of losing this.
And then I tell people, I was like, if I needed to, I would have called, and I may call, and if I'm having a hard time, or I can set up an earlier appointment. I'm at a month now to see before I see my counselor, but I was like, there's a lot going on right now. Even though it's good, I could need support. Can you get support because things are really going well, and it's new, so it's like, I don't necessarily have to be upset or crying. Right. It's like, wow, help me slow down, because I was so tired over the weekend because of all the excitement, and I was like, Susan, you forgot to eat. You forgot to take your vitamins. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. And it's like, can one get mental health support when things are going like
absolutely
really well and you're not used to it?
Absolutely. I actually, was talking with my therapist a couple of months ago about this, and, being vulnerable of like, I've been in therapy consecutively, I guess, for the last 5-6 years, and with this particular therapist for close to 2. And, we did like EMDR early on and kind of worked through.
What's EMDR?
It's eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So it's just another form of therapy that can help, especially around trauma. I found it, again, to each their own. There's no one size fits all. Right. There's certainly some people that haven't found it helpful, but for me it was. But now that I'm also like you, I'm in a place where, when the pandemic hit, it was a drastic shift. Relationship ended a week before the pandemic hit the way it did, lost my job, kind of was like, I could revert back to like old patterns and things because I was really challenged, especially in a cultural trauma, like a new thing happening, in this way too. But I took that and let it, kind of like you said, with turning my tears into something greater to push me forward. And I got my peer support certification. I did some other certifications. I kept on my practices, and I just embraced it. And then boom, in October, here I am here. And then continually, other doors in my life have
Really?
opened up.
October? I'm like, I thought you were, I just have this sense like you've been there, like PRN's been your home for
Because
a
it
long
feels like
time.
it.
Yeah, and I'm only 6 months, and I kind of feel like I've been there. It's like, yeah, lots of brothers and
Yeah,
sisters. I just have more. Oh,
exactly.
can I tell you one of the things that is my strange thing is I think I might be a little bit afraid of success too.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
And yeah, it's a strange thing. I'm worrying about what if this, you know, here's me going, I'm so used to struggling the last several
Mhm,
years. I'm like, are they going to kick me off the healthcare or something like
mhm.
that? Or, I'm like, yeah, it's interesting. It's just interesting. And it's like,
I think
that's
that's a
part of mental
beautiful
health
thing.
too. It's like, I'm not quite used. I don't, and it's not that I feel like I'm not worthy. That's not it. It's just fear. I mean, you should have seen me when I was like, I was actually nervous when I was doing my things. I was like, ugh.
I believe it. It's again that vulnerability, and there's so much. I love that you touched on that, and especially as we're sort of getting towards. I think we got about 10 minutes left, but just when things do start to shift in our lives, and we're in a space that we maybe could not have necessarily envisioned, or we envisioned it, but we couldn't necessarily know how it would feel.
Right.
Yeah, and now we're hearing it, and it's like, like, yeah, like, okay, when's occasionally you have that old fear of like, when's something gonna mess up, or when is,
Right.
but it's just like continuing to step into, the path of truth, and knowing, that no matter what comes your way, you have more resources and
Yeah.
strengths and abilities, that now what used to knock you down, it's not that you won't feel it anymore, but
Right.
I've crossed a new threshold, and I know what I'm committing myself to for my life, for my vision and purpose, and why I'm here. And there's this new confidence, and
Right.
confidence doesn't mean that, we're always like, oh, everything's just peachy keen.
Yeah. I think that's also the same thing about mental health. It's
Mhm.
not that we don't have these struggles and things, but it's we're able to ride them out, ride those waves because, it stuff still happens, grief still happens, but it's like, yeah, you said, knowing that you have resources, and knowing that you, like, yeah, I'm not supposed to be off of Facebook any more than 3 days. It's like, if you don't see me, you better ask. And it's like, oh, sorry. I mean, I also don't feel that need to hibernate. And for me, depression gets me, and I sleep a lot. I could probably sleep 20 hours.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. It's so and occasionally it'll come up. And that's just my, okay, it's okay. It's okay weekend, but let's keep an eye on this and make sure that it doesn't, you know, yeah, I check in. I check in, I don't
That's
hide out.
self-compassion.
Yeah, okay, that's what that is. That's so cool. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so where's my little guys? Where's my little guys? Let's see. You know. Oh, isn't that just? I'm like, who buys? Yeah, I'm like, Susan, no, you can't buy another puppet, but they're so cute. Um,
Yes.
it's just kids just, gosh. I,
I think it's a gift.
oh no! Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. She
What
just
happened?
dropped her nose fell off.
The
Oh my
unexpected
gosh,
things
that's
in
what.
life.
Oh my gosh, now I need some super glue. Oh
Well,
no,
I
she.
hope you have some.
Yeah. Well, I don't, but I see her nose. I was wondering about what that was.
Well, now you
And
know.
I'm like, what is that? Oh gosh, good thing. So yeah, one
Yes.
one time a kid pulled off the nose, and guess what I did? I cried. I'm like, oh man. So if this was the first time that would have happened, you would have seen me cry. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we'll figure out. We'll have to
I
put that
hope
away.
so. So, as
Yeah,
we're in our last 5 minutes and we've had such an enriching and powerful conversation,
yeah. It's been
um,
really fun. It's been I and you know what's really strange is that I I didn't feel like nervous, and I was like, who is this? I was just like excited.
well, I'm glad that you felt that way. And again, I think what's important when and it's so timely with this month is, mental health awareness of like our feelings being more normalized.
Right,
It's like totally okay to feel nervous. I still get
right,
nervous
right.
when I come on here. I still get nervous when I perform,
What do you
music.
perform?
I play music.
What kind?
Yeah. Uh, What's that?
What kind?
I mostly play guitar and I
Nice.
bass and I write and sing.
Cool.
And I've done poetry and stuff, and that's a very vulnerable place. But every day I have to, embrace that and just again extending that compassion. And I'm
Right.
so glad that you're here. And there's been so much gratitude and space of connection and getting to know each other. So in this last little bit for
Mhm.
anyone who's still tuned in, thank you so much for being here. We had some of our Warm Line team, Dee Dee and Karen popped on and Carrie. But
Did
what
I talk
is,
too much?
no, no, you're great. What is one desire or thing that you still want to manifest or grow for yourself in this year as our final note?
I think just continue to be loving and kind of it's almost like expecting miracles, and just like not like being shocked and going, oh no, I'm not, I don't deserve that. It's just miracles come, and I truly embrace them, and just because I don't know, I don't have a vision. I'm literally like just playing it day by day, and I'm seeing a lot of um just wonderful things. So, growing, and yeah, just growing and loving, and I don't get a little love back. Yeah.
I love
And that the
that.
gentleman taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, no, I don't know. I guess one has to go out again. I mean, whatever. But yeah,
Yes.
it's been so much fun. I love it. I love it, and I can't wait for my friends to see, and I'm the unofficial cheerleader of Promise Resource Network. You do not know how many people I've told
We do,
about this. So
Susan. We appreciate it
yeah,
so
yeah,
much. I'm so
yeah.
glad that you continue to be a beacon of love and kindness and generosity. I'm glad that you're a connector in the world, and I'm glad that you live with your heart and are 100% authentically you. I love the puppets. I love what you have going on. I'm excited for your new
Thank you
business
so much.
endeavor. I'm excited for, our time together on the Warm Line and all the people
I
that get to
learned so
connect with
much,
you.
and I
And
really enjoy. It's an honor to talk and listen to folks.
it
It's
is.
I just I yeah, I didn't realize how you know there's certainly a fondness for folks, and just yeah, it surprised me because I used to work on a crisis line
Totally
a
different,
million
right?
a million years ago. So yeah, it's totally different. It's
I
totally
love
different.
that. Well, we've got
Yeah.
our warm line down there. As we said, it's 24/7.
I
We've got our
finally
glass
got the
cap.
direction right.
You got it. You do.
Not like
833-390-7728. And we hope that if this video resonated with you or touched you in any way, that you like it, share it. And yeah, we're just so grateful that you were in this space with us. And that, yeah,
PRN.
the
Reclaim you.
PRN. Yep, Promise Resource Network. We've got a ton of classes on the calendar always, lots of new things in the upcoming future growth at our organization.
Great
So,
nonprofit.
yes,
You know,
stay
I'm
tuned.
you're going to be expanding. You don't know that, but I'll work on it. Okay.
Exactly. You will help us, and we
Yes,
are
yes.
excited for that. And
And
so,
if you
yeah,
need a mascot,
we got
all
you.
right. All
Thank
right.
you,
Well,
everyone, for being here and
thank
sharing
you.
this
Thank
space.
you. Have a
Susan,
lovely day, everyone. And Memorial Weekend, I guess, have good barbecues.
yep.
All right.
Until next
Bye.
time, everyone.